The Mavericks are back at home to try to break their losing streak as they welcome in LeBron James, the Los Angeles Lakers. We get you ready for tonight's game coming up next here on the DLLS Mavs pregame show. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks analyst Bobby Carella. We are DLLS Mavs, your favorite guys covering your favorite team every single game night at Kevin Gray Sports, at Bobby Carella if you want to get at us on X. And we'll be joined by our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. Coming up next segment, you can find him on X at Tim_Cato. Your Dallas Mavericks are back at home at the American Airlines Center to welcome in LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers as the Mavericks look to snap their 5-game losing streak. We'll get you ready for the game over the course of the next half hour with tip-off at 6:30 p.m. tonight. If you're going to be watching the game, you can watch the game on TNT. Really appreciate you joining us here on DLLS Sports here on YouTube. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel while you are here, and also do the same for our podcast as well, wherever you get your podcasts for free. As Bobby Carella, the Dallas Mavericks come back home at 20-16, 10-6 so far at the American Airlines Center, welcoming in a Lakers team that's been playing pretty well as of late, 20-15 on the year, but just 8-10 away from home so far this year. Lakers 6.5-point favorite coming into tonight's game, game number 37 on the season for your Dallas Mavericks.
Another tough game. Another tough game. The Lakers are the healthier team, the more well-rested team, the more versatile team, the more dynamic team, the team with the more star power. So it's going to be a really tough game.
That's what you got.
Yeah.
As the Mavericks come into tonight's game, 6th in the Western Conference, unfortunately having lost 5 straight games. That is a season high for them. They're looking to avoid their longest losing streak since late January, early February of 2021. The Mavericks have lost 6 of the last 7 games, a game and a half out of the 9th spot and 2 full games out of the 10th spot in the Western Conference. The Mavericks will begin what is a 4-game homestand tonight, which will continue through next Tuesday. So the Mavericks get to be at home for a little while. That's a rarity so far this season, it feels like, for the Dallas Mavericks. They got the Lakers tonight, then they'll take on the Blazers a couple of days from now before welcoming in Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets for a couple of games as well. 5 of the next 6 games for the Dallas Mavericks are at home. As we mentioned a little bit, Mavericks so far this year, 11-11 against teams that are above 500 this year. They take on a LeBron James Lakers team that's climbed all the way up to 5th in the West now at this point, 7-3 in their last 10 games. But they're coming off a loss against the Houston Rockets on what was on Sunday, 119-115 on the road. The Lakers, though, after tonight will return home as they'll begin a 5-game homestand themselves and play 7 of their next 8 games in Los Angeles. So far this year, the Lakers 7-13 against teams above 500. Star power on the floor if you're the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Unfortunately, no Luka Doncic, no Kyrie Irving. Daniel Gafford also going to be out for tonight's game as he's dealing with the left ankle sprain that he suffered during the first half of last night's game against the Memphis Grizzlies, which gets us to Bobby Carella's scouting report on this evening as the Los Angeles Lakers have been finding themselves in a little bit of a groove, and their ability to make shift different lineups has allowed them to find a little bit of consistency here as of late.
Yeah, they won 8 of their last 12 games going back to the second week of December. This season it really feels like let's go back all the way to like November. The Mavs had that horrible stretch where they lost 4 in a row, and then they just got red hot, right? And it feels like there have been a lot of teams that are doing that, going through a real bit of a cold spell or a drought, and then coming out of it stronger on the other side. Starting in late November, the Lakers lost, I'm trying to count up here, a lot of games, like 7 out of 9, I think, or 8 out of 9, and you had people taking victory laps about how bad of a coach J.J. Redick is. He's so dumb. The Lakers are so stupid. Lulz. Since then, they've won 8 out of the last 12. Obviously, they traded away D'Lo, so they made a bit of a move there, but they put Max Christie into the starting lineup, and they stopped starting Dalton Connect. Austin Reeves been playing. It's LeBron, Rui, Anthony Davis, Reeves, and Christie. And so it's kind of like a point guardless-ish sort of lineup, almost like what we saw the Mavs trot out last night. No like conventional D'Lo or Gabe Vincent or any of their other point guards on the roster, and it's been really working for them. Over his last 7 games in particular, Christie's averaging 15 points per game, shooting 44.7% from 3. And you think of guys that fit really well with Luka. Generally, those kind of guys would fit really well with LeBron too. So Christie, wing, a little bit rangy, shooter, can do some stuff off the dribble. Austin Reeves definitely the more dynamic of those two, but those two along with Rui really give the Lakers 3 guys that you can kick the ball out to off a LeBron drive or an AD post-up or whatever, and they can either take the 3 if it's there or they can do something with the ball if it's not there. They don't need to initiate necessarily. They don't need the ball in their hands to make something happen. And then they bring some other guys off the bench. They can do some of that too. Connect is kind of – he's not Klay Thompson, but like he's that kind of player, run off screens, get shots that way. Gabe Vincent, 3-and-D player. And so a lot of this stuff still goes through LeBron or more so Anthony Davis. But what the Lakers do is not necessarily conventional. So tonight will be a lot of 6'7", 6'8" guys creating shots. Tanner almost fell out of his chair just now. We need to cut to the Tanner cam for that
one. We have to build ourselves a Tanner cam.
But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that goes. And I'm also really curious, just like fundamentally, first off, who starts for the Mavs, but then who guards LeBron? Like probably PJ.
I would imagine PJ would probably get the first turn with LeBron James. Maybe you get a little Naji Marshall if he's in the starting lineup once again. It's going to be your bigger guys, whether it's PJ, whether it's Naji. I would imagine those two will get the primary first opportunity, I should say, to take on LeBron James.
Last night, they really struggled with stopping Jaren Jackson. Now, Jaren's bigger than LeBron, but LeBron is probably faster and certainly more powerful going to the rim, even at his age. He's, 40 or 41 now?
That's right.
Than Jackson is, and PJ was struggling with Jackson's size. Again, LeBron is not quite as big. So hopefully that's a little bit more of a palatable matchup for him. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking more at like the wings on the team that are playing great. You add Dorian Finney-Smith into the mix. Obviously, that's another guy that can shoot it. So the Lakers definitely have a lot more firepower over LeBron or around LeBron and AD than they used to.
As Bobby mentioned, an old friend coming back to the American Airlines Center tonight in the form of Dorian Finney-Smith. If you see on social media, you see that Luka Doncic had a chance to greet Dorian Finney-Smith before tonight's game, the newest member of the Los Angeles Lakers. Then that kind of gets us to our lead story tonight with the Mavericks coming back home to the American Airlines Center. Unfortunately, the injuries continue to pile up for the Dallas Mavericks. As we know, Kyrie Irving is going to continue to be missing games right now with his back injury. Daniel Gafford spraying his left ankle with 8:26 left to end the second quarter last night against the Memphis Grizzlies. Did not return for the second half against Memphis. He will be out tonight as well, with Jason Kidd saying last night that he could be out for some time. But with the Mavericks beginning a 4-game homestand, hopefully it's an opportunity to get some home cooking going. They have not been able to obviously win games over the last 5 as far as the losing streak is concerned, but hopefully getting some kind of mojo going, being back at home and being at home for at least an extended period of time. As we mentioned, they're going to be at home for a week, so maybe a chance to steal a game or two while you're at home, but at least they'll get the chance to do so in front of their home fans, which it feels like has been a rarity throughout the course of this season with how much time the Mavericks have spent on the road. They'll take on a Los Angeles Lakers team, though, that offensively and defensively is going to be led by Anthony Davis, who's having a sensational season for Los Angeles so far this year, averaging 26 points per game, nearly 12 boards per contest, and oh, by the way, getting 2.2 blocks per game as well. That's third in the association so far this year. And we mentioned him, the ageless one, LeBron James, in year 22 at 40 years of age, averaging 24 points per game while dishing out 8.9 assists per contest. That is 4th in the league so far this year. He's also getting some help from guys like Austin Reeves, who's averaging over 18 points per game. Max Christie has been an X factor for this team as of late. In his last 10 games, averaging nearly 13 points per game, shooting 44% from 3 and over 50% from the field. So as Bobby mentioned, some real firepower with the Los Angeles Lakers. And I think, Bobby, for me, one of the things that we've talked about in terms of the Lakers coming into the year was not obviously only with J.J. Redick becoming their new head coach, but offensively, what would some of their identity be in them playing through Anthony Davis, especially through the early part of the year, Davis has been an absolute force for them on both ends of the floor, but when they're playing through him and running their offense through him, it's a completely different team, it feels like, when it's Los Angeles.
It's a lot easier to do that whenever AD is playing at the 5, though, and not the 4, and he spent so much time, like, even whenever they were really good, he was starting next to JaVale McGee. They won a title doing that, but it seems like there's always been another big on the floor with him, and you just can't. Everything gets so clogged up, and like again, you have LeBron too, and LeBron wants to get to the basket. If he's got to go through not only his own man and the whole defense, but also Anthony Davis and another big, like it's just there's so much more space, and AD hasn't quite stretched out his range all the way to the 3-point line where you can chuck 5 or 8 of them a game the way that like Wemby can or somebody like that. But he's got touch in the mid-range, back to the basket, face up, can drive a little bit. Obviously a force around the rim, goes to the free throw line a lot too. So, playing through him is a good way to keep LeBron a little fresher and also just to mix it up, become a little more unpredictable. And, he's so good, and he's going to probably get the better of Mavs bigs tonight because he gets the better of every big because he's an awesome player. You sitting at home might want the Mavs to double-team AD. I'm here to tell you I disagree. You're welcome to have your own opinion. You do not double post-up players. You just don't do it. You were begging – like, if you can single cover AD and lose by 10 tonight, or you can double team AD and lose by 30 because they're going to bang in 25 open threes. Like, the choice is yours. I'm going to press my luck and hope AD has a rough game and hope Lively can stay out of foul trouble. I'm just really, really spooked about doubling because your first pass is going to be to LeBron, and he's one of the best passers ever, and it's going to be open three. I'm not doing that. I'm letting AD score 75, and I'm staying home on everybody.
Yeah, because I would rather take my chances with the Lakers as the three-point shooting team. They're not necessarily a great one, even with some of the shooters that they have on this team. If you get them to take a bunch of threes, maybe they are off that particular night and won't necessarily knock down quite their fair share in order to give you a chance to win this game. Speaking of offense, let's go to the Mavericks side of things. Klay Thompson, offensively going to be leading the Mavericks. He's averaging over 14 points per game this season, shooting nearly 39% from the three-point line. P.J. Washington going to be helping him out, averaging nearly 13 points per game so far this year, and 37% from distance. Defensively, Bobby mentioned him already. He's going to be a huge factor tonight for the Mavericks, with the Mavericks big men being shorthanded as they are. Derek Lively II, averaging 9 points per game so far this year, nearly 9 boards per contest, and 2.1 blocks, I should say, over his last 10 games, averaging 9 points per game, nearly 9 rebounds, and over 2 blocks per game for the Dallas Mavericks. He is going to be huge because the Mavericks, of course, it's pretty much him and Dwight Powell as your traditional quote-unquote big men that are a part of the rotation tonight, with Daniel Gafford being out due to that ankle injury. For the Lakers, a team that's number 11 this year in offensive rating, number 21 in defensive rating, though, at 114.9, which gets into a number 19 overall net rating and a negative 1.9. So a team that, yes, is 5 games above 500. Offensively has been pretty good this year, but defensively not necessarily great when you're talking about the Los Angeles Lakers. They are number 9 in the NBA in terms of field goal percentage this year. But one thing that you wish you had if you were Daniel Gafford and being able to be on the floor tonight, if you had him, the Lakers this year are the 5th worst rebounding team in the NBA. So, unfortunately, with no Daniel Gafford to try to help out on the boards, it's going to be incumbent upon Derek Lively II, Maxi Kleber, Dwight Powell, and others to really help out on the glass, because you can have an opportunity, even with the monster that is Anthony Davis, to be able to rebound the basketball against this Lakers team.
Gafford has struggled rebounding this year, though. Like, it's just...
He would have been nice to just have another big man, just to give you some, maybe 6 or 7 of those boards.
I think for a game like tonight where you'll feel like you're missing him pretty hard is if Lively gets in foul trouble like 3 minutes into the game, because as soon LeBron is a very smart guy. Okay, as soon as Lively picks up his first foul in the first quarter,
he's going after him
3 straight times, dump it down low. If Lively picks up a second foul in the second quarter, 3 straight times, dump it down low. 3 in the third, 4 in the fourth. Like, it's going to be that way the whole game, because the Lakers know the Mavs backup big is hurt. And the Lakers know that Lively struggles with fouls. Like, LeBron is a genius, man. They're going to put so much pressure on him. So that's where I think you'll feel it more than on the boards. Because they've been a fine rebounding team with Lively on the floor. They've been very bad with Gafford on the floor. But you get in foul trouble, you're going to feel it.
Mavericks, of course, are looking to avoid their longest losing streak since 2021 when they lost 6 straight from late January to early February of 2021. Dallas still is playing Los Angeles for the first time this season, having won 7 of the last 9 games against the Los Angeles Lakers since March of 2022. The Mavericks, of course, will travel to Los Angeles on February 25th before hosting the Lakers again on April 9th back here at the American Airlines Center. The Mavericks last year won the season series 2-1. Coming up next year on the DLLS Mavs pregame show, who's in, who's out, and X factors for tonight's game. Plus, our Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato will join us live from the American Airlines Center as well. But before that, let's talk to you a little bit about Sleeper.
My sleeper pick. Oh my gosh, my app is. I pushed the wrong button. My sleeper pick for the night. If you want to play along, use promo code DLLS Mavs. You can play $5, get $55 for free. I'm going to go Quentin Grimes, more than 20.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. I thought he was really good last night and deserved more minutes, and I think he's going to get him 80, walking double-double. That's the easiest thing in the world. The last time I said that about a guy, he did not get a double-double, so 80, don't let me down. Max Christie, more than 9.5 points. He's been averaging much more than that the last 7 or 8 games or so, averaging 15 a game, so I feel like that's a pretty good one. And you know what? Jaden Hardy, more than 15.5 points plus rebounds plus assists. Hardy's been shooting it pretty well lately. He's been getting a lot of minutes. The Mavs obviously only have a few guards, and so I think Hardy's going to get a lot of time on the floor tonight.
He got 15 last night against Memphis.
Yeah, points. I'm not so sure how many rebounds or assists he'll get, but I think he's going to get a lot of minutes, and he's got the opportunity. He bangs in a few threes. All of a sudden, he's going to be up there. So
there you go.
With Sleeper, the more you play, the more you can win. If this, thanks to their multiplier, the multiplier winnings all the way up to times 100. If this $5 plays hits, your boy will take home $30.55. So you want to play along, put your ball knowledge to the test, download Sleeper today.
That's enough to buy me dinner tonight, Bob. I appreciate you.
It's not enough to buy my dinner. I added an enchilada. Your boy's hungry.
you were big tonight. That's right.
Hungry.
Oh, so you need your play to hit tonight.
Yeah, I do.
When it comes to Sleeper,
Please.
Happy picking with Sleeper. Let's bring in our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. You can find him on X at Tim_Cato as the Mavericks host the Los Angeles Lakers. Before we get to Tim, let me let you know who is in and who's out real quick for the Lakers. Jalen Hood-Schifino, he is out tonight. He's dealing with a left hamstring strain. And Cam Reddish, he is out. He's dealing with lower back soreness. For the Mavericks, Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Dante Exum, Daniel Gafford, all out tonight. You know what ailments they are dealing with going into tonight's game. With that, we bring in Tim Cato live at the American Airlines Center. Tim, what's going on?
Nothing much, guys. I am not on the injury report. Doesn't look like you guys are on the injury report, so we're doing better than some can say.
We are healthy and ready to go for tonight's game. Jason Kidd having a chance to speak for about 4 or 5 minutes prior to tonight's game. Anything of note that he had to say, obviously regarding how shorthanded his team is, but taking on a Lakers team that's been playing better as of late.
Yeah, he said Daniel Gafford is day-to-day with the ankle sprain, or he hopes that he's day-to-day. But that's about what you're going to get from a Jason Kidd injury update. He talked about Klay, the importance of getting him, still getting him movement looks, still moving him around the court. Even when Luka and Kyrie's gravity is not there, and their ability to find 3-point shooters, that's still a priority for the team. We saw Luka on the court for a second. I know you mentioned this, but he ran out of the court to say hi to Dorian Finney-Smith, now a Laker. He's not on the scooter anymore. No limp. He even shot a 3 with one hand, or 1 foot, I should say, one-legged 3. He did not make it, but yeah, Luka certainly looked in better spirits and in better shape. I don't think it, or in fact, that definitely does not impact anything that we know about his potential return to play. But still a good sign, I think, to see him present and around, and certainly off the scooter that he is progressing in his recovery.
And of course, as the Mavericks take on the Lakers, Tim mentioned it, Dorian Finney-Smith playing in a Lakers uniform. It's still weird for me to see him in a Laker uniform of all things after all these years. Of course, splitting with Dallas and then going over to Brooklyn. But at the same time, the Mavericks come back home. They've got 5 of their next 6 games at the American Airlines Center. They'll be at home for the next week as they take on the Lakers, Blazers, and the Nuggets a couple of times. So hopefully be able to pick up some of that home cooking and mojo, and the fans give them some energy to be able to take on obviously a team in Los Angeles that's climbed up to 5th in the West, and also it's a nationally televised game. Again, if you're going to be watching the game, you can watch the game on TNT, which, Tim, gets us to our Mavericks player spotlight on this evening, and we mentioned him a little bit ago. We'll mention him again because he's going to have his hands full tonight dealing with Anthony Davis, and that's Derek Lively II. In 13 games at home this year, averaging over 10 points per game, shooting 70% from the field, is Lively, grabbing 8 rebounds and blocking a shot and a half per game. Tim, he's got to stay out of foul trouble as he's the only true big man that the Mavericks have tonight with the absence of Daniel Gafford. Derek Lively II is going to loom large tonight for Dallas.
And it's going to be tough. I mean, the Lakers are the team that draws the most fouls, the most free throws. They shoot the most free throws in the entire NBA. This has been a trend of theirs with LeBron, and Anthony Davis is one of the best foul drawers in the NBA. It's extra important that Lively specifically goes out of a way, really makes a point not to pick up fouls, especially early on, and in a way that would just affect Dallas's game plan for the first half. So yeah, he's a good guy to key in on. If Dallas, let's see, do we have the starting lineup yet?
We do have the starting lineup. It'll be Klay Thompson, Naji Marshall, Spencer Dinwiddie, PJ Washington, and Derek Lively II. So Dinwiddie back in the starting lineup tonight alongside Naji, Klay, PJ, and Derek Lively.
What does Quentin Grimes need to do to get back in there?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I kind of like Naji as a, if you're going to start Dinwiddie, I kind of like Naji off the bench. But yeah, I mean, it's still a more defensive lineup. But Derek Lively, I mean, Dallas's defense runs through Derek Lively. He is the most important player to it. All the numbers show that, how much better they defend when he's on the court. But ever since Luka and Kyrie have been out, and in the occasional moments that Derek Lively would be on the court without one of Luka or Kyrie earlier in the season, the numbers are not nearly as good. And I think that's there's a lot of reasons for that, and some of it is just that it's easier to play defense when you make a shot. Some of it is that I think Dinwiddie and Jaden Hardy are worse defenders than what Luka and Kyrie have been this season. But I think some of it is that Dallas just needs a little bit more out of Derek Lively, if at all possible. If he can provide a little bit more defensive, solidity, if he can be really the base of a unit that's able to withstand and suppress opposing offenses. I think that might be one of the best paths Dallas has to win games at this point, because it doesn't matter how many guards you put out there. They're going to be offensively limited. They're going to have limitations in terms of how much creation they can do. You could put Brandon Williams and Jay-Z Gortman and Spencer Dinwiddie and Quentin Grimes and Naji Marshall all out there together, and that those 5 are still going to struggle to score a little bit. So what it's going to come down to is that Dallas has to be really, really solid on the defensive end, and then they just have to get enough on the other end, and that definitely runs through Derek Lively.
Shout out to Luke. He's got the Lakers starting lineup in there for us. And as we look at it, it's going to be Austin Reeves, Max Christie, LeBron James, Rui Hachimura, and Anthony Davis starting opposite for the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. That gets us to our X factors for tonight's game. As we get you ready for the Mavericks taking on the Los Angeles Lakers, remember, early tip time tonight at 6:30 p.m. at the American Airlines Center. Let's jump into them, gentlemen. Let's start with X factor number 1, because, Bobby, this was something that you had brought up last night, and I thought it was an interesting point, because we look at who the starting lineup is going to be with Spencer Dinwiddie back in the lineup. The question being, gentlemen, and Bobby, I'll start with you, where does the offense come from? This is a Mavericks team that has an offensive rating of 105.9 since Christmas Day, which is 27th in the NBA during that time span. Where does the offense come from tonight if you're the Dallas Mavericks taking on Los Angeles?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're, like, if we're just trying to find, like, something that can do something, like a play that can just create something, Dinwiddie brings the ball up. Klay comes off some sort of pin down into what could be a pick and roll. AD will drop and Klay can take a 15-footer. I mean, that's probably like their most repeatable thing. And then if he gets hot, maybe 80 steps out, and then all of a sudden Klay can pass over the top to Lively or do that little bounce pass he's been doing a lot of lately. But pin downs are easy to defend now. Like, the defense is sophisticated. You can't do the same thing over and over again and it'll just work every time. So, the Mavs are going to have to diversify. It's going to take some individual brilliance. Dinwiddie's going to have to take his guy off the dribble. Naji's going to have to just beat his guy one-on-one. Quentin Grimes, what can you do for me, man? Like, get stops, get out and run, and do that while taking care of the ball. There's no, like, 20 plays in your back pocket. You can just be like, yeah, we'll be fine.
Yeah. Tim, how about you? Where does the offense come from tonight for the Mavericks?
Yeah, I mean, I like Naji and Quentin Grimes both getting some creation opportunities to run them in some quick offense early on, and get them some picks and see what they can do. Obviously, a lot of the offense is going to run through Spencer Dinwiddie, of course. I like Jaden Hardy as an off-ball player. I don't think that especially Bobby, you've been talking about this and how if they're going to win with defense first, they cannot turn it over. And I think Jaden Hardy's just a little too turnover prone in those situations. He doesn't consistently create separation from his man, from his defender. So I like trying that with Spencer. I mean, Spencer's going to get the bulk of them, and certainly Klay Thompson, like you said, their run stuff for him. But I think Naji and Quentin are the two guys that I kind of want to see. I don't think this is a game where you need to go to Brandon Williams or Jay-Z and Gortman.
The knife, as Mark Stein would say, on the menu for Tim Cato and the offense tonight. Let's get to X Factor number 2 then. We mentioned him a little bit ago as well. Jaden Hardy's been playing well as of late. Can he continue his strong play going into tonight's game as well? Hardy in his last 6 games averaging over 10 points per game, shooting 54.5% from the three-point line and over 52% from the field. And of course, at 15 points in the loss last night, was able to knock down a couple of big threes in that third quarter against Memphis to try to keep Dallas close in that third quarter. Tim, Jaden Hardy playing better as of late. Hopefully can provide not only some scoring, but a little bit of playmaking as well coming off the bench for Dallas tonight.
Yeah, he just needs to make shots, take and make open threes or semi-contested threes. He's one of the team's, still one of the team's better shooters. So, definitely want him scoring in those areas and, taking advantage when he can of stuff on the weak side. But, he also needs to go out there and defend and really try on that end. Everybody has to commit to playing defense when, these are the stakes, this is the situation. So yeah, I mean, I'd like to see it continue. But again, I just don't think it's best for the team if the way it continues is like on the ball stuff, him trying to create offense by himself. Save that for some of the other guys, and you can always resort to that at towards the end of a possession, but that's not the first look for me when he's out there.
Finally, for our X Factors tonight, you got to guard without fouling. Tim mentioned it a little bit earlier in terms of how the Lakers are able to get to the free throw line and really cause trouble for teams in getting to that area of the floor. Memphis last night had 35 free throw attempts against the Dallas Mavericks. You cannot foul three-point shooters, P.J. Washington, in tonight's game when you take on the Los Angeles Lakers. And more to Bobby's point as well earlier, Derek Lively II, you got to stay on the floor, my guy, because the center rotation is rather thin, and you're taking on an all-NBA type player in Anthony Davis. Bobby, they got to guard without fouling, because otherwise, if they get into foul trouble tonight, it's going to be an even longer night potentially for the Mavericks against the Lakers.
Yeah, and the guards especially have a tendency to reach. Like, Hardy reaches a lot, Dinwiddie reaches a lot, tries to get away with like some cheeky body contact, and it's just not going to work. Like, Austin Reeves gets a whistle that Luka would kill for. Obviously, LeBron and AD are going to shoot their fair share, but what you don't want to do is give Reeves 15. You're fouling Dorian shooting a 3 for some reason. Like, keep that under control. You want to make them work for it, obviously, but don't get caught with your hand in the cookie jar, because Reeves is really adept at just doing and getting getting a trip to the line.
That's my favorite one that players try to do when they try to draw a foul. That's my favorite one. We really, Tim, as always, my man, we appreciate you joining us from the arena. We will talk to you post game after the Mavericks take on the Los Angeles Lakers tonight, my man. Thank you.
See you guys then.
Bye, Tim.
That's our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato. You can find him on X at Tim_Cato. cheeky body contact.
That's right. I said what I said.
Shout out to Ben. He's paying attention to the pregame show.
I said what I said, Ben.
We'll be back here. Never mind. I was going to make a joke about FS1, but we're going to leave that right where it is. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
Oh, my gosh. Bobby's been living under a rock. Has no idea what's going on with FS1. Google it. See what's going on there. We'll be back here.
Is there a show called that or something?
Oh, my gosh. Just Google the word Skip Bayless, Joy Taylor, and those names. You'll see what you come up with. We'll be back here 15 minutes after the game is over with here on the DLLS Mavs post-game show. We'll be joined from the American Airlines Center by our Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato and, of course, our national NBA insider Mark Stein. Bobby Krella will be joining the party. He'll do some research while he's watching the game as well about what's going on with FS1.
Well, I know about the lawsuit. I just did someone say I said what I said?
Nope. Never mind. Don't even worry about it. We'll be back here once the game is over. Really appreciate you joining us here on DLL Sports. That's Bobby Krell. I'm Kevin Gray.
I promise you, we're getting existential as hell on the postgame show. You were not. I don't care what happens tonight. You're not going to want to miss the postgame show.
Mavs Lakers coming up next year. We'll talk to you after the game right here on DLL Sports. Y'all be good. We'll talk to you later. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.